I've always been excited about academics, and I've always been excited about learning new things. So I was doing that, and I was going along very happy doing that, but then I got very excited about the whole discovery aspect of doing research. I went to the University of California at Davis. I didn't think I was going to be interested in research, but I work on diet and colon cancer, and it was just the idea of what makes a cell decide that it's going to go on and become a cancer or give up the ghost and die, and what are those mechanisms that switch on and off intrigued me. So if that intrigues you, then you've got to be a scientist, because you've got to have a lab and you've got to go out and do the work. Well, a nutritionist is somebody who studies everything from the food that you put into your mouth, where it comes from, what are the nutrients that are in it, to how do you digest and absorb the food that you've just eaten, and then how do you metabolize it once it's in your body, inside the cell. How do you make that carbohydrate that you've eaten or protein or fat that you've eaten into energy in your body? So that's what they study. Well, I think the reason I think it's such a great field is because if you've got a bent for science and you enjoy science, this applies it to the real world. I mean, what could be more exciting or more important? You can apply molecular biology to figuring out how to prevent colon cancer, how to prevent heart disease. So it's got an outcome that I really enjoy. I think that during my lifetime we're going to be able to decrease the amount of colon cancer in this country by appropriate diet. So that's enough to get me out of bed in the morning. Well, I've had a lot of publications, and I've had some, I think, important discoveries. One is that all fibers don't act the same. I think that was some that came out of my graduate study research, actually. Some do some things in the small intestine, some do things in the large intestine, but they definitely all don't act the same. And then the idea that there are interactions among the nutrients. You can't just think of fiber or fat or carbohydrates or starch or any of these things. They interact with each other, and a particular combination of fiber and a particular fat that's found in fish actually is very protective against colon cancer. So that I would count as another discovery. I have a lot of exciting projects going on in the lab, but I think one of the most exciting has to do with astronauts. And so what are they going to eat? I'm in charge of the National Space Biomedical Research Institute, the head of the nutrition program and physical fitness program for them. That's one of my other things that I do at Texas A&M. So if you're an astronaut, what can you eat? What should you eat to even protect yourself against the radiation that we get once we get out of the Earth's atmosphere? We're exposed to more radiation. And so that's one project that I'm working on. Again, it's a combination of fat and fiber that's very protective for them. So that's one project. I've got a whole bunch of other ones. I'd be more than happy to talk to them about for a long time. I have the other one that really interests me is that, you know, we have a small intestine. When you eat food, it goes down your esophagus, into your stomach, then through your small intestine and through your large intestine. And the cells in the small intestine are very similar to the cells in the large intestine. But colon cancer, which is the large intestine, is the second leading cause of death from cancer in the United States today. And nobody gets cancer of the small intestine. So I have a big grant with a lot of graduate students working on it to say, why is that? You know, I mean, that's a pretty interesting question. Why do you get cancer of the large intestine when you don't get cancer of the small intestine? So we're looking at a whole variety of different reasons why that might be the case. There have been so many discoveries on the genetics of colon cancer just in the last 2 years. I think the major thing that's going to come out in diet and health is going to be individualized nutrition. I'm absolutely convinced of that. It's called metabolomics, but what we mean by that is that what you may need and what I may need to eat to be healthy may not be the same. And so now we're making recommendations for the general population. You know, everybody should be low fat. Everybody should have a low amount of sodium in their diet. Everybody, well, it may not be true that that's right for everybody. And it may not even be true that what's right for somebody at 30 is right for them at 50. So that's where it's going to go in terms of nutrition, individualized nutrition. You know, absolutely, being a scientist has changed my life. It's gotten me to places that I never would have gone if I hadn't been one. All over the world, I give different talks, go places, meet interesting people. Because everybody that you meet that's working in the field is an interesting person, because they're all excited about discovery. So all my friends are interesting people. I have the utmost respect for people who teach young kids. I get them when they're in college. So I teach college students, coming in as freshmen, graduating as seniors. But at a younger age, to keep people excited about learning instead of turning them off when somebody asks, what about this, to help them discover for themselves rather than giving a pat answer. I have utmost respect for teachers who can do that.